Hello and welcome to this episode of Own the Journey, where we are talking to amazing business leaders from around the world and bringing their wisdom to you. And today I am super excited to bring to you Sherry Houston. Sherry, tell us a little bit about your story. I know you've done some amazing things in the nonprofit world, and there are some cool stories, so I can't wait to hear more about it. So tell us how you got into it and what you do.
Well, Tom, thank you for having me. And it truly takes a community to wrap themselves around my nonprofit and also around me as an individual. So my husband and I moved to Gainesville more than 35 years ago. So Gainesville really is home.
Nice.
And there's something that is so incredibly special about this community.
Yeah.
They care so deeply. And so I was in the for-profit world for a period of time, and then when I came into the Ronald McDonald House, I truly found my home.
Yeah.
And I am so honored to be able to serve families from all over the world and keep them close to their seriously ill child.
Oh, wow, that is so amazing. So you mentioned Gainesville, and I know that, I mean, you said it before we started, and I'm going to bring it back up, that you can't pay somebody to care, that has to be built into the DNA. And so we've been able to be in Gainesville for a couple of days now, and wow, what a cool community it is. So tell us a little bit about how that has an impact and just what you love about Gainesville.
When we moved here 35 years ago, I had no idea what Gainesville really was, and I don't think Gainesville was really on the map. As our organization has grown, so has the community of Gainesville. So Gainesville is more than just four walls. It's more than just the people who come in. It's the caring, it's the trust, it's a camaraderie. And I know that we talked a little bit about competition among nonprofits, among businesses. There isn't competition. It is the collaboration of like-minded people moving the needle forward to make fabulous things happen.
That's so cool. I love it. So what is it that in the nonprofit world, I mean, you said there's not a lot of competition, but there's always competition for dollars, donation dollars. That's kind of tough to navigate through sometimes. So how in your world do you navigate through that and make sure that the business community or those that are donors don't get overburdened or just tired of hearing about something else?
So I think it goes back to the C word of collaboration.
Okay.
So it's my job as the executive director and the chief development officer of the Ronald McDonald House to bring the passion of the donor to the mission of our organization. So for example, if you love dogs, I don't have a service dog. I don't really serve animals. So you may not want to give to our Ronald McDonald House, because the goal and the purpose of our house is to keep families close to children who are seriously ill. So it's my job to tell and to explain and to share the stories, to bring your passion to the table, so that in the end, you hand me your American Express card and I can swipe it with my Square. Do you want to try?
Yeah, let's try.
Okay.
No, I love that, because that's fundamental in business. Every business has a target customer profile, somebody that they are specifically serving, and you're doing the same thing. And so it's finding the people that have the passions to help the kids and the family stay together.
And we have a really interesting group of people. So I have a fabulous team, a team that is passionate, that is selfless, that cares incredibly deeply. And I surround myself with people much better than me. In fact, I should probably have them all here with me today. I have a fabulous board, 25 people who represent all different walks of life and all different talents. And then we have an advisory council, and that's a group of individuals. There's 86 of them, and we can grow them as many as we want. They don't have governance responsibilities, but what they do have is the passion to move our mission forward. They're the eyes, they're the ears in our community. And then we have fabulous donors who are from all over the world, because we serve families from all over the world. And then we have the families, each and every family who walks through our door, who wants to be with world-class treatment for their child. So the number one diagnosis of a family who comes to our house is a family who is waiting for a heart for their child.
Oh my
Can
gosh.
you imagine
I can't.
just how difficult it is to every day pray that another child is going to pass, so that you have the opportunity for a heart to be implanted in your child's chest?
I can't imagine. Really can't imagine. Oh, that's crazy to have to deal with that. And your organization's mission is to serve those people, to make that experience as good as possible. That's amazing. So thanks for doing what you do. That's so cool.
Takes a village.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned your board. I want to ask about that because I know that a good board makes all the difference in the world. In the business community, I've been fortunate to have a legendary board around me, and it's like, oh my gosh, these people are, like oracles, and I would assume for you it's a lot of the same. They have different responsibilities sometimes in a nonprofit, but talk to us about how you've been able to assemble a Rockstar board.
Well, I will tell you, I have the best board in the city of Gainesville. People who care deeply, who are passionate, who are not afraid to share the stories. My current board chair is a man who has given not only of his time, he has renovated bathrooms in our house, he has renovated laundry rooms, he is out always making connections to move our mission forward in the community. Given that fact that we are the Ronald McDonald House, we have people who are owner-operators of McDonald's who serve on our board, and they serve as long as they are owner-operators. I have a very passionate individual who has been on my board for 22 years. I've only been the executive director for 8, and the coolest part about that is he is willing and has been willing to serve as board chair twice. So someone who, once again, understands what we do, why we do it, and continues to educate our community as to the importance of the Ronald McDonald House.
Yeah, that's so good. And to have those champions inside the community that are getting out there, making the connections, bringing people in, it's fantastic. Well, you mentioned that you've been the executive director for 8 years, but a little birdie told me that the organization wasn't in such a good position when you first stepped in, that you might have done some pretty miraculous things in turning it around.
Miraculous. I wouldn't go that far. I would say we made some really tough decisions, and decisions that had to be made. They may not have been pretty decisions, but I think sometimes tough decisions aren't pretty. But when you know you're doing something for the right reason, and you know you have a mission that needs to succeed, then you push that forward. And some of that was moving some staff members, some of it was making some tough decisions financially. But I knew in the end that our Ronald McDonald House had to succeed because we have a fabulous children's hospital in Gainesville, and they needed us to serve families.
Oh, that's so good. So what did you learn through that experience that you would share with other nonprofit business leaders? It's the mission over the hard choices?
It is definitely the mission over the hard choices, and don't be afraid to make the hard choices. You're not going to make everyone happy. And at the end of the night and end of the day, if you can go to sleep knowing that you made decisions that were in the best interest of your constituents, and in this case our families, then we knew it was going to be okay.
That's awesome. I love that. So what are some of your favorite stories? I know you've got some good ones.
Our families are heroes, and I don't know how they do what they do on a daily basis. I am a grandmother of 3 children, twins and a little boy who's 4. I raised 2 children. I have a fabulous husband and an incredible support system here in Gainesville. Our families walk through our doors, sometimes with only the clothes on their back. They have their own children, and they have a child who's seriously ill, and to be able to serve them, to open up our arms, and to be their safety net and their friends, and to nurture them through this process is life-altering. When I first arrived, we had a grandmother whose husband passed away. She was taking care of her 14-year-old grandson, and he was having some balance issues, and she took him to the doctor, and he had a brain tumor. They life-flighted him to our children's hospital, and the clothes from her husband were still in the closet when she arrived at our Ronald McDonald House with just a suitcase to be with her grandson. They were with us for over 9 months. Unfortunately, he passed, but to be able to be with this grandmother who didn't expect to have any of this happen to her, with the passing of her husband, who she'd been married to for over 50 years, and then to have her grandson have this debilitating illness. It was really tough. And when children pass, it is really difficult to process that. The first year I said to my husband, I don't know if this is the right job for me, just because it was
It's tough
you get emotional, and I'm a woman, probably get even more emotional maybe. And we never meet the children in the hospital because they are so ill. But to be there and to be with these families is so priceless. And so the way my husband helped me rationalize it is that we are a 31-bedroom house. And we're at 100% occupancy 365 days a year. But what that means is those rooms don't turn over unless a child passes or a child is discharged to go home with their family. So when a child passes, we gain that angel who will always watch over our house and our team and our board and our other families. And then we're able to welcome in a new family to go through the same process. And the goal is for them to take that little angel home.
Oh, that's so good. Gosh, I can see in your heart the mission of what you guys do is so critical. And I would say for anyone who's in a role like yours, being so passionate and tied to that mission is got to be what drives everything that you do.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it really does. I don't ever stop thinking about our house. I don't stop thinking about our team, about our board, about our community. It is something that is a 24-hour day. We are a 24-hour day operation.
Well, yeah.
However, it really is something that I don't ever lose sight of, and because our families never lose sight of the fact they have a child that's in the hospital.
They don't stop thinking and worrying about it, so you really can't either. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to hit you with a hard question I know that you were a little worried about because you brought it up. The nature of your world being 24 hours a day, it's nonstop. How do you maintain the life balance? I mean, it's tough. I know your husband obviously supports the mission as well. He's got your back, but that doesn't make it easy.
Oh, no, it does not make it easy. This is probably the hardest question. I don't do work-life balance very well.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I'm all in, and I'm that person who
I never would have guessed that about you.
It's such a surprise, isn't it? Wow. But seriously, I think what has helped me these last couple of years, especially with COVID and having to pivot there, is exercise. And I mentioned to you, I wake up at 4 o'clock, I get on my Peloton, I ride to this fabulous music. Other people around the world inspire me.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I can start the day just fresh with insight and wisdom and excitement, because part of what we do as leaders is to inspire others to greatness. And so when I walk in the house, into the Ronald McDonald House, not my real house, I live there. When I walk into the Ronald McDonald House, is to inspire our team to be able to serve families and to do it to their best of their ability, and to have a board that is just so committed that they are willing to be the wind beneath my wings is really humbling.
So I heard a couple of golden nuggets in there. One is that when you're in the business that you're in, it's a little bit of a family job, not just one person, which is true for a lot of small businesses as well. I mean, it's kind of a family commitment. But the other thing that I heard that I think is amazing is that you have to be in your best version of yourself when you're coming into the office, because the mission, what you guys are doing, it's tough. And so if you're not inspiring and giving energy to those people inside your organization, then you're going to deal with all kinds of challenges.
And that's why I'm so fortunate to have people who are much better than me doing all the things that need to be done, truly. And it really is a family affair. My husband and I have been married now 36 years. And thank you. And I can't imagine being with a man who is more understanding. I can be kind of a very outgoing person. You can't take me to a restaurant. I don't work the room at the restaurant. I do bring a square with me, so I always swipe credit cards. This is not a joke. So there are just times that to have someone who really understands you and helps ground you. And I'm fortunate that my husband has always been that person who grounds me and understands me and is patient with me, because I'm not a patient person. I'm out there.
I'm not sure about that. Okay, so you mentioned the amazing staff that you've got around you. So I know in today's world, everybody's dealing with staffing challenges. It doesn't matter what world you're in. But in nonprofits, you know, there's only so much you can devote to the staff. They have to be in it for the mission. How is it that you have been able to bring a group together, keep the retention high, get them focused, keep them focused, and do all of the things that you guys need to do?
So our director of house operations, her name is Emily. She is incredibly intuitive. She is the kindest, most passionate person I have ever met. And her team really operates the house. They onboard all of our families. And so Emily's developed this fabulous team. And then I have the administrative part. And we have Megan, who is my right-hand person who thinks in Sherryisms, as she calls them. and we've just brought on a new member to our team, Em, who kind of rounds out the administrative area. So having two groups of people with very different mindsets who really understand that every decision we make is what's in the best interest of the families that we serve. And we talk about that a lot as a team, whether it's Wandra, our executive housekeeper, who has been with us for more than 9 years. She's the longest tenured person on our team. And it's really wonderful because Emily, my director of house operations, has made Wandra she's trained her she's cross-trained her to be a manager on duty also. It's wonderful that Wandra not only is able to maintain our facility, but she's able to interact with families on a very different level when she is our manager on duty.
Absolutely, she can. So I heard career development. I heard that the old premise that people don't quit a job, they quit a boss, but the bosses that you've got in place are amazing people, and so you're maintaining your team around you because you've got good leadership inside your organization.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so good. So what would you say is the biggest challenge in the nonprofit arena as it relates to the competing for dollars, competing for the priorities, and all of those kind of things when you break it down inside? I mean, we talked about, you're aligning the mission, but sometimes there's big things that need to get done and there's not enough dollars or all of those things. And so you're obviously a networker, you work the room, so how do you spread the word? How do you get it out and extend beyond what you did yesterday?
Just keep telling the story. Yeah. Our story is a great story, and it's by the grace of God. It's not your child, it's not your grandchild, it's not the person that you live next door to who needs a Ronald McDonald House, who needs to be close to world-class medical treatment. Even though we're a 40-year operation here in Gainesville, the Ronald McDonald House has a fabulous brand, and our global organization gives us marketing and media materials, but we create a story that is so unique to Gainesville to inspire people to want to be part of our team and to be part of our donor base. That's
so good. That's awesome. Let's talk just a little bit about COVID and how that's changed your world, how that's changed everybody's world. First, just from your perspective, what shifted? What did you guys have to do to pivot?
Wow. The very core of our program is social. So we want families to interact with each other. So it takes away some of that stress and that feeling of being alone. So COVID was all about separation and being alone. And so we were told by Ronald McDonald House Charities not to accept any new families into our house, which is really difficult. So our 31-bedroom house became our families went home. We had children who received hearts, so great things happened during COVID. However, we didn't bring any new families in to replace the families who left. So in August, we went down to 11 families in our house. It was tough on our team because our team is very social. I think I told you, Emily is that person who just emits all of this love and just gushes over our families with passion and enthusiasm. So we found ways to pivot and make things different and better. So we have a family room in our children's hospital. It's an oasis within the hospital environment. It's a tiny room. COVID, you can't be in little areas, right? And we followed all the hospital guidelines. So we closed our family room. And Emily came up with this fabulous idea of creating comfort bags. So we have diaper bags that are filled with sweet and salty snacks, non-perishable microwavable meals. And she worked directly with the social workers at our children's hospital to deliver these comfort bags to mommies and daddies sitting bedside. Last year we delivered 1,700 of these bags. that are filled with all of these things, so families didn't have to go down to a vending machine. They didn't have to leave their child's bedside and interact with anyone. All they need to do was pop things in the microwave and be able to eat. I don't think everything was very healthy, but still they were.
It's okay.
It's okay. But yes, sometimes you just have to throw caution to the wind. But these comfort bags were just amazing godsends to mommies and daddies sitting bedside. From the house perspective, we have signs throughout the house, little hearts, so everyone can keep their 6 feet distance. We still wear masks in the house. And dinners. Dinners are such a big thing, as you probably know.
Oh yeah, in every home.
The kitchen is the heart of the house. Well, now we used to have a program called the Visiting Chef Program, where people just like you and your team are able to come in and cook, because when you're cooking in our house, you make our house a home, right?
I love it.
So we had to change that because we weren't accepting any volunteers in our house. And so for a $200 donation, Emily, our director of house operations, will work with local restaurants and local caterers to put together individually packaged meals. We call each family down at a moment in time. They take all the food back to their room, not socializing with anyone, and they're able to eat their meal and then bring back their garbage to the kitchen. So we found creative ways to still serve families and still let them know that they are cared for, but in a distant sort of way, which is really challenging for people who are huggers like me and who want to be with people. It was really tough. But you know, the cool thing about COVID is it either paralyzed you or it freed you. And our team, it freed.
Wow.
So we found creative ways to make things happen. And I think if you pivot and you throw caution to the wind sometimes, because there were no evidence-based practices. We had never lived through a pandemic.
Right. It was a little new for everybody.
So kind of think, wow, we have this opportunity to do some really cool things and create this vision and this passion for what we can be. And so as leaders, I think sometimes you have to take that leap of faith. And I joke about standing on the mountain and sometimes just being pushed far enough that you can still have like 1 foot on there, but you know, if you ever are going to fall, that there's going to be someone that's going to catch you, or you're going to land on that really soft mattress and you're going to be okay. And I think that's what COVID taught our team is get creative, because we can make things happen. There are families whose lives depend on us making good decisions. So do it, because no answer is wrong, because we've never done it before.
Right. Oh, I love it. So white canvas absolutely can drive innovation into what you guys are doing, but you're staying true to the mission because it's more important than anything. And I think one of the cool lessons that I heard you say in that environment is you got to take the risks. Like, you know, sometimes you just got to jump and you got to go. Just like in business, your organization has to do the same thing. Well, that's so amazing. You know, I think one of the big challenges that all organizations have had through the COVID is the interaction piece that you were talking about. You know, the data shows that working from home, which I know not all of your team can do, probably your administrative team can do some of it, but you know, the productivity can actually go up sometimes by as much as like 40%, but mental health challenges come into play, and sometimes we see like a 50% reduction, or the data shows 50% reduction in people's mental health. How did you guys navigate through that piece? Was it getting together on Zoom when you had to and kind of doing those kind of things, or what creative things did you guys do to preserve the team?
We talked a lot. Talked a lot. Emily and I are talkers. I think when you're just authentic and you're honest and just put it out there. I mean, you're having a bad day, why you're having a bad day, and how can we support you in this bad day that you're having? Because tomorrow you may be supporting me in the bad day that I'm having, because we all, in our world, it is very high highs, or they are very low lows. Low lows are when a child passes away, when that donor says no to moving that mission forward. Those are really low lows. But when a child gets a heart, when one of our team members succeeds and does something that we didn't think they were able to do, or even able in that time frame to do, or when you get that really big win from that donor, that big sponsorship for an event, it is just so thrilling. And so we kind of look like where great things happen and sad things happen, but rarely is it just status quo. And I think it's because we're dealing with so many emotions for so many people. And that's probably why my team and I talk so much. In fact,
need each other.
My team laughs that when I'm not in the office, it's so quiet. They get so much done because all I do all day is talk.
That's fun. But what I heard that I think is a really powerful gift, what I think I heard you say was that you give your team permission to have a bad day. Like, it's okay. If you need to mourn, if you need to have the bad day, the purpose of teamwork is that we're going to bring you up and we're going to lift you up, and if you need to go through that, we're here for you, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
That's superb leadership. So Sherry, you've won a really cool award that I want to make sure that you tell us about from the state of Florida. So the Florida Commission on the Status of Women. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
It's very humbling to be in the presence of people who have done such incredible things in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
I am truly not worthy, and I still can't believe they honored me.
Yeah.
There are so many awesome people who do great things.
Yeah.
I am thrilled to see that the state of Florida honors women for what they do on a day-to-day basis to change the lives of people throughout this entire state. And so I was chosen because I think I turned around the Ronald McDonald House with a fabulous team and great board, and it was nice for others in the community to recognize that achievement. And once again, it goes back to a great Gainesville community who rallies around one another and lifts you up when great things happen, and that supports you when things are not going so well.
That's so good. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well earned, I'm sure. 100%. You mentioned events, and I know that that's a big part of nonprofits. So both on the COVID side and in the traditional environment, it is a thing. So talk to us about, obviously you couldn't have the events during COVID, so you had to come up with new ways to fundraise. What creative things did you guys do there? And then we can pivot right into what's your favorite way to run events and do them successfully?
Oh, well, yes, we could not have events in person, so we virtualized events. I'm not even sure if that's even a word, but we virtualized events.
It is now.
It is now. So in 2019, we had a 750-person event. That's our biggest event. It's our gala, and it was more than thrilling. Little did I know in 2020 we were not going to have that event live. So we took a red shoe affair and made them little red shoes, and everyone had. Isn't that so cute?
Yeah.
One of my board members came up with that idea.
That's
came up with the name. I know, a man came up with that idea. And so, not that men can't be creative, but I thought this was very creative. We partnered with a local restaurant in town. They delivered over 475 meals seamlessly to different homes who had these little parties of their tribes, right? So you felt comfortable being with that little tribe of people.
Right.
And we netted over $150,000.
Wow.
The cost was incredibly low because all we had was the true cost of the meals that were being delivered. Everything else, you as hosting a Little Red Shoe, did that in your home. So then last year, we were planning on having a big red shoe affair, and 2 weeks before the event, we virtualized it. They almost had to hospitalize me, but we did virtualize that event. And we didn't have as many meals delivered to homes. However, we were able to net over $200,000 because the community understood the importance of this event to the operations of our house. More than 35% of our operating budget is made up of fundraisers. So we do a clay shoot, we have a gala, we do a bourbon tasting. Do you like bourbon?
I know a few people that love bourbon. I'm not a bourbon guy, but.
And then we also have a gingerbread house competition. So those 4 events bring in over 35% of our operating budget. So events are very, very important. And during COVID, once again, you just have to get creative and keep telling your mission and make it fun. Our team had fun when we virtualized everything. And I think the donors had fun because it was something different. And then others in the community emulated what we did because they knew it was something that was good for donors and a good return on our investment.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it. And then during the best of times, event planning and getting their attention, tell us about your strategy there.
It's all in the details. It's all in having fun. It's all in communication. communicating with your donors why it's important that they sponsor the event, making sure every detail is just seamless, from spelling your name correctly to welcoming you properly when you show up, to making sure the food is just perfectly prepared and you've brought that right caterer, to just having the right family who's going to share their story so that you as a donor want to continue to invest in our organization. And then finalizing the evening with a great band who will get you out there dancing and
have a good time. Yeah. I love it. And 35% come from the events. What about the rest? How do you close the gap?
So 18% of our operating budget comes from McDonald's, and we have a fabulous partnership with McDonald's. However, we were never built on the premise that McDonald's was going to fund this operation 100%. Right. So it really does take our fabulous Gainesville community to wrap their arms around us. So between individuals and organizations, whether it's a monthly $10 gift or it's a $1,000 sponsorship, a $5,000 sponsorship of a room in our house, we find creative ways to match the passion of the donor with the mission of our organization and keep that mission out there at all times so people understand how important it is to help our families during this time.
Wow, I love all of that. So what do you want to make sure that people know about running a nonprofit that you know now that maybe you didn't know when you first started in the game that you'd like to share with folks out there that are maybe either new to the game or not as experienced?
Running a nonprofit is not for the faint of heart. It is something that you do 24 hours a day. You have to care. It is something that if you cut me right now, RMHs would just fall out of my vein, okay? I mean, you have to embody the organization that you are supporting and you are making a reality. And so bring that team who is better than you to the table every single day, inspire them to be greater than they are, and surround yourself with great board members who care even more deeply than you do. As I bet if I cut some of the fingers of some of my board members, the RMHs would be coming out too.
They would come in your advisory group?
Oh my God, my advisory committee. Yes, I love them. They're great too.
So you would recommend that for every nonprofit?
Totally, because they are the breeding ground for our board. So we can test, they meet 4 times a year, we test your enthusiasm as an advisory council member, and if you show a lot of potential, then we'll move you on to our board of director, as a board of director in that governance position.
I love it. So it's a little bit of a grooming area, so you have maybe younger, newer business leaders and community members in that arena, and you're helping them to see before maybe they have the governance experience. And
absolutely, and they know our mission.
Yeah. So what's your biggest challenge that beyond it's not for the faint of heart that you want to make sure people know about being an executive director in a nonprofit? There's
never enough hours in the day. Choose your time wisely. Say no to things that don't move your mission forward. Say yes to the things that truly propel you forward and help serve the community.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I've heard a couple of really big gold nuggets that I think are a lot of fun. One is that in the culture of the organization, it's always mission above all else, and have the courageous conversations and have all of those kind of things. Inspire leadership by allowing people to have bad days, but surrounding yourself with the people that can lift you up and do those things. The board, the advisory committee, all amazing, and live and love the mission all the way around.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for everything that you do, and congratulations.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers to you for owning your journey.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry.